From LALATE headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Afternoons LALATE.
It's a big afternoon of Afternoons LALATE, and I'm back with exciting great news about your fourth stimulus check update of 2021 today. In this recording, we'll go over the fourth stimulus check and why you may be getting more months of checks. And the breaking news out of Los Angeles. I told you it was coming. We're going back in the pandemic. We're not out, and we have new indication of where we're heading in that as well. Then we cut to the recon, and we'll go over the other sums of money that are in that fourth stimulus recon for you. Tens of thousands of dollars for a lot of different things. I'll explain to you what they are. Then we cut to the vote, the bills, and everything you need to know. And trust me, I'm going to do something totally different in this video, and it's at the very beginning, so get ready for it. And then we turn to the exciting details of this stimulus, which raises your benefits up if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security and Railroad benefits, and what Jay Powell, head of the Federal Reserve, said yesterday. I have all the exciting news for you as well about that. And then we turn to the thousands of dollars that viewers continue to get. $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 that viewers are getting from these videos on this channel. I'm going to show you how you can get this money as well. It's a big day. It's a big afternoon. I'm excited you're here. Let's get to the breaking details, starting right here, right now, on Afternoons LALATE. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. How you doing? Congratulations. You made it to the weekend. I think you deserve it. We all deserve it. Just so long as we have good weather. Tell me where you're tuning in from and how's the weather. Jump in the live chat and post it right now. It's been better here in LA. It's gotten cooler. The nights are cooler. So hopefully your nights are good as well. In this fourth stimulus check recording of 2021 today, we'll go over that monthly stimulus check and the breaking news that signals that there's going to be more potential checks because of where this pandemic's going. Then we cut to the recon, and that recon with all those additional sums of money for you, $3.5 trillion of additional sums of money for you. I'll go over some of the details and when you're going to see all the details. Then we cut to the vote, the bills, and everything you need to know. But in a strange, unusual twist, I'm going to put a personal narrative up in front of this video because I got to clarify something for you that's going across broadcast media, and it's totally incorrect. And then we cut to fifth stimulus, which heats up this vol with the raising up of your benefits of SSI and SSDI and VA. This is the lift you needed. And the inflationary rate, what did Jay Powell say about that yesterday? I have all the breaking news on that as well. And then we cut to the big money the viewers continue to get, $5, $10, $15, $20,000. It's your day to get this money as well. And this is LALATE, America's only 24-hour day, 7 days a week financial news channel in America, and the most accurate one as well. You're going to see in a second. Recording live in the morning, taped in the afternoons. I'm next back with evenings LALATE at 5 o'clock, and then 7 o'clock is overnight's crypto and evenings crypto, and then sirloin at 8. So subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record in 1 year for a reason. The most accurate and the most in-depth and the most breaking news 24/7 across the board. Also like this video, 2,000 to 3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Let's get right into that monthly stimulus check starting right now. I had told you yesterday that during the Senate hearings with Jay Powell, head of the Federal Reserve, a Republican on the congressional hearing, said, well, the pandemic ain't over. This morning, actually overnight, Los Angeles County reversed its mask mandate in totality. 2 weeks ago, I said that she told you that they were tentatively saying, hey, if you want to wear a mask, you should wear a mask. Now, we're back to normal, back to the way we were before. Masks are required back indoors in Los Angeles County. Pandemic plus 1 year House bill now looks like we need pandemic plus 1 year. That is the following. House bill from Jalopal, pandemic plus 1 year monthly stimulus checks. Senate monthly stimulus checks would be July to December. How much? House would be 1,000 after the first month, 1,000 after the first month. The Senate amount is unknown, but word on the street, the Senate amount is this. Deliciousness. $2,000 over 6 months, $12,000. Or $1,400 over 6 months, $8,400. It was no less than 2.5 weeks ago when I was reporting to you that the legislators may contend the pandemic's over. And then a week ago, I said, or a week and a half ago, I said LA County was starting to say the pandemic's not over by slightly reversing the mask mandate. Warren Buffett saying the pandemic's not over. Airlines saying the pandemic's not over. And then yesterday, a Republican on a congressional hearing asking Jay Powell about this economy said the pandemic's not over. And last night, LA County reversing our mask mandate. We're putting back on masks indoors. This signals the pandemic's not over. And with that, when you look at the House versus the Senate plan, which one looks more delicious? Let's look at them across the board. The House plan provides a stimulus check for the remainder of the pandemic plus 1 year. So the House plan, by all accounts, now would deliver more than 12 checks, which would be more than $13,000. Compare that to this. I think you have an opinion. Jump in the live chat right now and vote House or Senate, House or Senate. Tell me where you're tuning in from and how's the weather. Vote House or Senate, and tell me how the weather is. Boy, things just change very quickly. I mean, just rapid fire of changing. The news cycle is now becoming almost not even a daily news cycle, but a 4-hour news cycle. So stay with me throughout the day. For stimulus check, who would get it? The Democrats represent that if you got a third stimulus check, they want to give you a fourth. Single individuals, $75,000 or less. Democrats want you to have a fourth stimulus check. Married couple, $150,000 or less. Democrats want you to have a fourth stimulus check. Double it. Family of 4, Democrats want you to have a fourth stimulus check. Quadruple it. And if you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans, Democrats want you to have a fourth stimulus check. They represent. The fourth stimulus check is not income. It's not taxable. The fourth stimulus check will be the same amount for all individuals, including adult dependents. And the fourth stimulus check is not a waivable check. But if you do see the check at happy hour tonight, and the check is sort of waving like it's doing a pair dance, don't think it's a pair dance because no one's tipping this check. They're waiting for the check to tip them. Hey, check, you're waving. Is that a pair dance? It's not a pair dance. Too much pear margaritas, I guess. Can I see double of you so I can get 2 of you? I like that one, don't you? The fourth stimulus check would come in the month of July for the month of July. The Democrats represent. I was just off the cuff. And in the month of August for the month of August. Drink so you see multiple stimulus checks. Yeah, that's a new theme of the show. The fourth stimulus check would be called for a vote by July 4th, but they didn't get it done. I'll explain the second part of this video, third part of this video, what's going on. I'll explain the voting process, the dates, the bills, everything that's going on with the bipartisan, and also the wonderful recon. It's all breaking news, no less than 30 pages of breaking news I have to go over with you. In the second part of this video, we'll go over the recon, and we'll go over the other sums of money for you in that fourth stimulus. It's getting very exciting. For the first time ever, really, in this channel, I'm inserting a personal narrative, and I'm putting it up at the front of this video. And I'm putting it right here. Why? I turned on TV this morning to watch my favorite business channel. And they had my favorite business anchor talking about this, and a print news reporter out of a famous, very famous number 3 newspaper. And what did they say? The anchor said, well, what do you think about paying for the bipartisan with raising taxes? The bipartisan doesn't have taxes supporting it. That's the recon. And then the reporter was asked, well, what do you think of what's going on? He says, well, Biden wants, 35% corporate taxes. What? And he says, the corporate tax rate, maybe it's around near 25, then maybe that works. But Biden's up at like above 30. Biden never said that. So this is a number 1 business channel. It was butchering the story. It was, and they weren't, they aren't trolls. They're paid to report. And they didn't get anything right. And imagine if you're sitting home watching that and you would just be totally confused. I listened to it. I wanted, I wanted to take the food and just throw it at the TV. I was like, what are you doing here? Now, here's another problem. Another problem is that because broadcast and print media has been so inaccurate in the last 48 hours, viewers are getting confused. And I implore you not to jump into the comments of the videos and post comments about voting, because there was so much incorrect statements about voting next week. It's just not your fault. It's because they're not making the story clear. First, there is no voting on any bill next week, number 1. Number 2, there is no bill to vote on anything next week. Number 3, there is no substantive vote on anything next week. So what are they voting on? They're voting on something that's not this. It's the procedure for potentially this, and it's not going to work. And if you heard that, and you say, oh, there's a vote, so I'm going to check the next day, and there's a bill, and we're done, thank you. No, we're not even anywhere close to that. I'm going to explain what's going on in the third part of this video. Later in this video, we're going to get a preview. We're going to go over fifth stimulus. Here's a preview. We're going to be talking about the raise of your benefits if you're on SSI to VA and what Jay Powell said from the Federal Reserve yesterday. It's one incredible great news. But first, let's get some money because you deserve it after all this, don't you? Get a pen and paper ready because I'm going to go over the tens of thousands of dollars of views can get, and I really want to congratulate you. If you got a rent from this channel, post in the live chat right now. If you got to utilities for this channel, post in the live chat. Snap, post in the live chat as well. I was initially reporting on this channel in videos that the rent is about $5,000, about 4 to 6 months of rent. It's not. Viewers are now getting $15,000, $20,000 for rent, like Nisi of this channel. When I talked about utilities, I said, hey, I can get you a couple $100 for utilities. Viewers are now getting $3,000 of utilities daily from this channel. You're killing it. I'm so excited for you. Post your success stories right now. When we talk about Snap, I've been talking about viewers from this channel getting $5,000 to $6,000 for Snap, but viewers are getting $12,000 for Snap, like John for his family. And then when I talk about one item, viewers are now getting 3 items, like Art Sullivan and others. So let's go over what's going on. In April of last year, I launched this channel because people were not getting their EIDL loans or EIDL grants. I didn't launch the channel to track it because they weren't coming. I launched it to get it, and I got it. $25 million of it for viewers of this channel. In fall of 2020, people were not getting their second stimulus. Why? Because it wasn't passed. There was nothing for us to track. There was no check in the mail by November, December. But we pushed, and I got viewers $250,000 of rent. Like Tyrone Family 4 in Boston got $15,000, paid all his bills. Now we're doing it again because 4 stimulus is not in our hand. So I'm getting viewers $15,000 to $20,000, and it's your day to get that money as well. I'm really excited for you. Get that pen and paper ready. And here we go. We're going to go over different places where you can get pots of money. If one says no, reach out to the next one says yes. What are these pots of money? We're going after rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, and also homeowners utilities. As I said a second ago, each place has different eligibility, so do not apply because you said, I don't know if I qualify unless. Please apply because every place has different eligibility. Are you ready? Here we go. You're going to reach out to your city hall, your city house authority, your county hall, your county house authority, your state hall, your state house authority. Keywords you can say are rent assistance because of COVID, mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. You don't say words they don't know, like stimulus or muddled purple. There is no muddling in purple. We don't muddle when we wear purple. And there you go. Congratulations to Tim and Linda who got this wonderful money for rent and Nisi $20,000. If you got rent, post it in the live chat right now. Post it right now. Let's turn to Snap. Snap is a big success story for this channel. It's just such a wonderful, wonderful, game-changing success story. John got $12,000 for this. What is SNAP? It is money for food. You get it from Department of Agriculture. Lynn Glenn got it for herself, her son, and her mom, Gail, got it as well. How much does it pay? A fortune. A family of 4 in Boston gets now, in Hawaii now gets upwards of $16,000 a year. Why so much money? Because of 2 wonderful executive orders. One from Biden, one from Trump that raise your benefits up 15% between now and December. So go get it. You're killing it. I'm killing it. $16,000 for SNAP for a family of 4 in Hawaii. $5,000 for rent. And we're just getting started and we're only at the 13-minute mark. I got more money for you right now. It's the money coming back from your states. States have been ordered to return money due to overpayment of unemployment benefits and computer error. Not your computer. Yours works fine, thank you. It's the states. One of you got $3,000 for this 2 days ago. Another of you got $5,000. Where's the landing direct deposit? Can you track it? Yeah. Call up your state and say, hey, state, where's that money due to overpayment of unemployment benefits and computer error? And can you track it with a computer that actually works this time? And finally, that wonderful pot of money that's coming back from IRS. And I do have an update about that. That is the refund check of the taxes you paid on 2020. Some of you have gotten the money already, like Margaret, Cod, Michael. But IRS gave us an update this week. Another round has gone out. Yeah, wave. They do waves there. They have some margaritas. I don't know. They do some waves there. The current wave, the average amount being sent out, average is $1,265. Wow, congratulations. The direct deposit started July 4th, and the paper check started July 16th. More refunds will continue week after week. Congratulations. So how much, where, and when? let's say you had $9,000 of total unemployment benefits. You paid $5,000, of which $4,000 was your taxes on unemployment benefits. Congratulations, you're getting back $4,000. Where? Direct deposit, otherwise in the mail. When? This month. Can you track it? Yeah, go to irs.gov. Do a transcript search, and it'll reveal stuff you never knew. It'll reveal some stuff you don't want to know. You don't want anyone else to know. It'll reveal the tax return you filed, the taxes you paid. It'll reveal, really, does anything really muddle around the White House? And how often are they muddling there? It'll reveal, do they circle around when they're muddling, or do they circle around before they're muddling? And then it'll reveal the tax return refund check you're getting. Boy, can we top that? We can, as we go into the second part of your fourth stimulus check update 2021, starting right now. Now your recon, where your money is passable. Over 3 weeks ago, it was not passable. At that time, the recon was the only thing we were working with, and that recon had roads and bridges in there. Democrats were polled, would you vote in favor of it? Absolutely not, they said. It's too big, it has roads and bridges out of it. So they took the roads and bridges out and shrunk it, and suddenly it became passable. Passable means if you call for a vote, it would pass. What was that day called? The split day, about 2 Wednesdays ago. On that day, it created 2 separate paths, the bipartisan and the recon. Your money is in the recon. The roads and bridges are in the bipartisan. Now, for the first time on Afternoons LALATE, I want to go over names because as if this story was not any more confusing, people want to make it more confusing by changing the names. Lord. I mean, really, what is this, a nightclub or a pop singer? Why do we have to keep on changing the names every 10 seconds? But here we go. You need to know them because viewers are getting confused to no fault of their own because of the government changing the names. The recon is also called the reconciliation. It's also called the budget bill. You'll recognize it by the price tag of $3.5 trillion in any news article. You'll also recognize it by the names being cited in the article, like Bernie Sanders. The bipartisan is also called the infrastructure. It's also called the roads and bridges. You'll recognize it by its price tag, which is about $1.5 trillion. You'll recognize it by the people cited in the news article for that, which are Mitt Romney, Lisa Murkowski, Republicans, Democrats like Chris and Sinema, leaders like Mitch McConnell. That's how you recognize the two. How did we get to this wonderful spot? We got to this wonderful spot by the split, and that split made the recon now passable. Now, one of the things I want to make clear, because this is a major update, is that there are different versions of what the word passable means. Passable means if you call for a vote, it passes. But on Tuesday, the Democratic caucus in the Senate was asked to agree on a price tag. And they agreed, they passed among themselves informally, that the price tag of the recon is 3.5. So that element of the recon has been passed among themselves informally. It doesn't mean the recon has been voted on, but they've agreed upon the price tag. So I want to clarify that before I get into the nuance of passing the actual recon bill. I know this sounds overwhelming. It sometimes is, because things are changing so quickly. A wonderful conservative publication had a great op-ed that said the following: the higher the price tag was on the recon before, the harder it was to pass. There you go, confirmation. But by allowing the Democrats to take out some of the spending from the recon and putting in the bipartisan roads and bridges, it made the overall number of the recon smaller, obviously. In other words, the bipartisan deal made the recon passable. There you go. Sorry to set you up, Mitch. Now, here is why everything has sort of changed. The second part of the article talks about why the GOP should not support the bipartisan, the roads and bridges, but that's now moot because guess what? The Republicans love the bipartisan and the infrastructure. They adore it, and I have all their adorations of it and their voting and their dates and everything coming up later in this video. So that's how things have really changed quickly. Now, the great news was that once the recon was shrunk and roads and bridges was taken out, the progressives were able to add other stuff into the recon, a little bit more. And we had that confirmation weeks ago. This is an older quote, and I told you it was coming, and now it has come. Later in this video, I'll show you what's going in that recon. Representative Ilhan Omar said that we have a commitment that regardless of what happens in the bipartisan, we will get a recon that goes as big as we want. It has gone as big as they want, $3.5 trillion. And then Representative Richie Tory says, I refuse to vote for the bipartisan unless we have a large enough recon. Well, now they do. It's 3.5 trillion. So they got what they want. How did they get to this spot? Because Jalapal and Schatz had confirmed that the White House had said, hey, protect the progressive policies of the recon. What's at issue here? Well, the White House has said that it considered the progressive priorities in the recon their own priorities. All right, let's step back and understand what this recon is. The recon, which stands for reconciliation, is a bill written by Democrats for Democrats to be passed by Democrats. What's in the recon? Just checks. Checks for everything. You're going to see later in this video. Checks for medicine, checks for schools, checks for kids, checks for you, checks for everything. There's nothing for the government. It's not roads and bridges. That's somewhere else. And the recon is written in subcommittees of the House with the Senate subcommittees co-authoring behind them, same political party. Under the Constitution, those subcommittees are divided subjects. So House Ways and Means is responsible for stimulus checks and also unemployment. Here's what you need to know is that under the Constitution, there's no requirement of transparency. They don't have to show you what they're doing. So the subcommittees, writing, voting. They don't have to show you what they're doing. And then finally, when they're done, they send the pages they've written, let's say it's 10 pages, up to Nancy. Let's say it's 10 subcommittees, up to Nancy, 10 pages, 100 pages, Nancy puts it together and puts an H on it. If they do it over to Chuck, which I think they're going to do instead of stuff to Nancy, it's the same thing. It's of an H, it's going to be an S for Senate. Then Chuck puts an S on it, and then it's ready to vote. It's at that point you see it. But until then, you have no obligation to see anything. And ultimately, that is why you have to push. And it's also not an appropriate time to say, I haven't heard. Here's what you need to know, is that everyone, from print media to broadcast media, says, we haven't heard what's in the recon. Of course, because they don't want to tell us. There's a real big reason why the Democrats don't want to show you. And I'm not going to go into it in this video because it would take another 30 minutes on alone. It's nothing negative. It's just that they just want to keep it private until it's gone. But I will show you some of the details coming up later in this video. And I'll go over what the Democrat members say that they're putting in there. Wow, how do we get to this wonderful spot? Well, Jalapal had written a letter to Schumer about 2 weeks ago saying, Chuck, call the vote on the recon. That letter was signed by 12 House Democrats who were among the 100 plus, who had written the president a letter saying, hey, we're going to put monthly stimulus checks in the forced stimulus recon. Wow. Can we top that? We can. As 7 members of the House Ways and Means Subcommittee, that one I just went over, wrote the president a letter saying, Mr. President, we're going to be putting monthly stimulus checks into the forced stimulus recon. Remember, that's the committee that does it. They're saying they're putting it in there. You got to push Purple Power and make sure they keep their promise to you. They also say they're doing 5th stimulus recon checks next year. I'll go over that as well. They wrote your 3rd stimulus recon checks earlier this year. And finally, it's official. The global minimum corporate tax rate is now officially international law. You saw a ceremonial signature of it 4 weeks ago overseas on a Saturday. But that was just a ceremonial signature. It's now law. It was all cost broadcast media this morning. Why is this huge? Because now the president doesn't need these provisions in the recon. It makes it easier to write the recon because you don't need this in there. It makes it easier to call the vote on the recon because you don't need these things in there. It makes it easier to vote on the recon because you don't need these things in there. And it's easier to pass it on the recon because you don't need those things in there. Wow. Can we top that? We can. As we go into the final third part of the forced stimulus check update of 2021 today, you're going to see a continuation of my personal narrative with, for now, the factual background, which is what is voting on next week. And why are people getting confused to no fault of their own? Because of really sloppy reporting by broadcast media as to one bill versus another bill versus what this vote is called versus what that vote is called. It's just sloppy reporting. And it's getting people very confused, and people need to know what's going on. It's their money. It's their livelihood. And so I'm going to go over all those incredible details about the vote, the dates, and everything you need to know in the third part of this video. Plus, I'll be going over some of the provisions of what's in the forced stimulus recon. It's breaking on Afternoons LA. Then we cut to fifth stimulus with a raise them up of your benefits, but something more wonderful, it's the volunteers. If you need help with rent, utilities, internet, or more, reach out to the volunteers. Where are they? They have your back. If you've tried to get this money, if you're looking at the people in the live chat and you say, I can't find it, I'm having problems, don't worry, we got your back. Remember, keep on posting throughout this video the success stories you got if you've not posted yet. Post the rent you got, the utility you got, the snap you got. Tag me so I repost it, repost it in the chat. Because it inspires other people, number one. It inspires people who got one item, get 3 items, like Art Sullivan, who got 3. It updates me about numbers. And fourth, it reveals people when money is coming. Here's a little bit about the community page. You find the community page by opening the description. Find an emoji of a house, not Nancy's. It goes over to the community page, some kitty cats, not Nancy's. And lower in the page are the volunteers. They're separated from Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Reach out to them. And I'll be back with 60 seconds with a huge second half of this afternoon's LALATE. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. They're Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals. Reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica. And the excitement continues right now on an Afternoons LA with big exciting details still about your fourth stimulus check update of 2021. Boy, this is the big part of the video, the final 15. You better stay with me because there's a lot coming up. The vote, the bills, the dates, everything you need to know. We got to fish stimulus as well. That raises up your benefits lifetime because of the incredible lift of inflation. But first, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this channel. 400,000 in 1 year. Next up, 1 million. Hit that subscribe button. Like the video. Every like helps in the algorithm rankings. It also delivers a side of cumin. And consider becoming a member. The link is at the top of the chat and in the pinned comment. Coming up next is Evenings LALATE. Say on this video, it'll automatically take you there. And then we go into Overnight's Crypto, Evening's Crypto, and Sirloin. Move on over. And there you go. Let's cut right into fifth stimulus with a quick rundown of what happened with Jay Powell yesterday. Wow. So, fifth stimulus raises your benefits up, then removes the asset limit, adds an inflationary benchmark in this massive reform of the SSI, SSDI, VA, and more. Then they'll remove the income exclusion and remove the marriage penalty. How does this work and what's going on? In fifth stimulus this fall, going to a vote around about November-ish for benefits thereafter, there will be an SSI, SSDI reform. This will first raise your benefits up lifetimes. Who you? If you're on, this is you. If you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans, my veterans, SSA, and multiple beneficiaries. Next, they'll apply a new benchmark. That benchmark is applied currently, as it is, every fall for next year's benefits. The new benchmark would be inflation. And inflation is going up. This week, twice, including yesterday, Jay Powell, head of the Federal Reserve, testified on Capitol Hill. And he said much the same thing he had said a month earlier. So I'm sticking with it. He said that inflation is going up and it's reaching its highest point around December. Huge, because that's when they apply your benchmark in the winter. The only thing I'm not sticking with him is the inflation rate. What is the rate? He wants to keep the number low because it wasn't scare Wall Street, and Wall Street knows that and says it. But what did Wall Street say yesterday? My inflation rate. 5% was what they were talking about. Let's go over that. First, they'll raise your benefits up a lifetime. Then they'll apply the benchmark of 5%. And that would raise your benefits up another 5% for lifetime, not just next year. If the inflation rate next year is 1%, then you'll be plus 5 plus 1%. It's wonderful news. Next, they're going to remove the asset cap dating back to a 1980s law that says you can't have more than $3,000 in hand. Now you'll be able to have a stimulus check and some tacos. They're going to remove the income cap dating back to a 1960s law that says you can't work and stand benefits. And finally, the marriage penalty is going to go away. Love is going to win. and you'll be able to marry your longtime love interest. You'll be able to get married and no longer fear a loss of benefits under the marriage penalty. Viewers like Rob and Sandy will be able to get married. And there you go. This stimulus. Now, the House Ways and Means Subcommittee, they have a surprise for us as well. They say they're going to be giving you stimulus checks under the fifth stimulus package next year as well. It would not overlap with fourth. It would happen sometime in 2021. We don't know the details yet. Number two, the president before firing Commissioner Saul dedicated $1 billion to Social Security Administration. This should ensure your first, second, third, and fourth, and all your stimulus checks here and there, monthly benefits checks come on time. Number three, if you're missing a stimulus check, you must request it on a tax return by filing the tax return and putting it on that line item of the tax return. This is a specific line item. If you haven't done that, go out to a tax preparer. You get the checks right away. All right, there you go. If you're in the live chat and you're wondering, wait a second, how are all these people with a purple hawk emoji next to their name getting these numbers of money and I haven't gotten anything? Well, consider becoming a member. The link's under the video where it says join here. By joining and becoming a member, you get access to all this incredible information delivered to you daily from me. I break down all the money in third stimulus. Because when third stimulus was passed, I said, hey, there's a $14 stimulus check in there, but I'll get you $14,000. In third stimulus, I said, hey, there's a $600 stimulus check, but I'll get you $6,000. And I have. And you've done it. And you've gone far and above $14,000 as members and as members of this channel. So consider becoming a member so you're delivered daily from me to you, a breakdown of all the money in third stimulus. All right, there we go. Perfect timing. Final 15 minutes starting right now. You saw at the early part of this video that I was not peeved, but a little perturbed that broadcast media is butchering this story so badly that it's leaving, the middle America just to listen in and say, I'm confused. This sounds very confusing. It's very important to keep these two bills separate. It's also very important to hear the complete story. Let's go over this first again. There's recon that is money for the American people, checks for the American people. It's paid for by corporate taxes. And then there's bipartisan. It's roads and bridges. It's not paid for by corporate taxes. You got to keep the two things separate. If you don't, like broadcast media was before, you'll just get completely confused. So I think the viewers have gotten that distinction very clear because I've been doing it for a few weeks. But here's where something new that's causing people to get confused, and I don't think it's because viewers want to be negative or anything. I just think they're getting confused because the broadcast media is doing confusing. There is no vote next week on any bill. And I saw a ton of comments with people saying, there's a vote on the recon next week. There's a vote on the bipartisan next week. There's a vote on this next week. Okay, let me go. Oh, and then they're saying, Chuck said this, Chuck said that, Chuck said this, Chuck. Okay, slow it down. Back it up. Chuck never called a vote or said he's calling a vote on any bill next week. What did Chuck Schumer say? He said as to the bipartisan, he will have a cloture vote next week. What is that? That sounds like something I got to put an ointment on. Do I need an overcount? Do I need a topical cream for that? Oh, I think I got that when I was near the beach once, a cloture rash. No, it's not a rash. It's a type of vote. A cloture vote means it sets a timeline to end something. It's not a vote on the bill. It's not a vote on the bipartisan. It's a vote to stop the discussion of the bipartisan. It's basically a vote to say, hey, wrap it up. Stop talking about it. It's like a final call at the bar. We're calling a vote on Tuesday, says Chuck Schumer, to call a vote on what time we should close the bar. It's not a vote on what we're going to serve at the bar. It's just a vote on when we're going to close the bar. And so that's what he's saying. It's a cloture vote is a vote to end the discussion about the bipartisan. Now, what's the reaction to Chuck Schumer's comments? Very, very negative, of course. And guess who's very negative about it? Mostly Republicans saying, wait a second, how can you call the vote to end the discussion on the bipartisan if we don't have the final bill on the bipartisan? And so obviously, Republicans will vote against the cloture vote because they want to continue to talk about the bipartisan. In the spirit of a viewer, I would certainly say Chuck Schumer is basically becoming a Purple Power viewer. He's like, stop it already. Stop your talking. I'm going to call a vote and tell you to stop talking. Yeah. And people will probably in the comments right now say, yes, stop talking. Call a vote, write the bill, and stop talking. That's basically what Chuck's vote is next week. It's not a vote on the bipartisan. and there's absolutely not a vote on the recon at all. So now that that's clear, let's go over where the two things are. Let's go to the recon first. The great news is that the way you do a recon is you first have to agree upon the price tag, and then you have to agree upon what goes in the recon. I know this sounds a little strange, but the way that the Senate Democrats have always done it, not just this time, is they first agree upon the price tag. They don't have to agree upon it with a vote. They just meet and say, hey, do you agree upon the price tag? Yeah, I agree upon the price tag. Okay, done. So the price tag of the recon is done. It's done. It's 3.5 trillion. I always forget the number. Yeah, 3.5 trillion. It's done. So they've agreed on. That's done. There's no voting on the price tag. Now that what they have to do is get the bill to a finality and vote on the bill, which will be 3.5 trillion. And so this is huge news. Senator Tim Kaine, which you remember was Hillary's vice presidential running mate, said that, you know, the achievement of getting the price number is huge. It is. Bernie Sanders, Chuck Schumer, Tim Kaine, everyone was praising that they got to this done. I think this is categorically massive for you. Because one, it's basically we're at the edge of the finish line. We're at the edge of the finish line. Once you have the price tag done, all they have to do is slide the parts in there. Number two, it's a big number. It's a big number. So because it's such a big number, this is great news for you because there's a lot of room to put things in there. So what is in there? Now, here's what you need to know. I discussed this early in the video with you, but there is nothing under the Constitution requiring these subcommittees to tell you what's in the recon. And they are not. In fact, the Democrats are not telling anyone what's in the recon. There's a reason, and it's sort of a strategic publicity. They want to sort of, you know, not reveal the new debut album. They don't want to reveal the opening song on their new debut album before it comes out. You know, it's sort of like a sort of press blitz thing they want to do. So they're not telling us. So absolutely, categorically, this is not the time or place ever for anyone to say, I haven't heard that, because they're not telling anyone. It's not that you haven't heard, they haven't told anyone. And that's the first thing. Now here, so why do I have some details of what's in there? Because a conservative publication thought it'd be a good idea to run a sort of a hit piece that said, hey, let's trash talk the recon by talking about some ridiculous provisions in there that shouldn't be in there. Okay, so this is not a conclusive list. This is not everything that's in the recon. And second of all, it's just for the purposes of a slanted news article to tell the conservative reader why this recon is bad. It helps me because I have the details of what some of the items are in the recon. Some. Free school meals for all. Wow. Tax breaks, lots of money. Cheaper prescription medication. Wonderful news. Checks for that. Checks for immigration reform. Checks for greener farming. Checks for election. Checks for internet. They're going to dedicate fortunes to local cities so local cities can set up their own free internet companies so you can have free internet. Oh boy, you're going to be very happy. Free checks for workers like organized union and extended collective bargaining. Checks for Medicare expansion, covering dental, vision, and hearing. Really exciting news. So that's the recon. When is the vote of the recon? Well, by all accounts, the vote for the recon will be next week or the week after. Why do we know this? Because of two reasons. One, they got to do the vote on the recon before the bipartisan. And number two, they're representing the vote on the bipartisan is this coming week or the week after. Now, this is not Chuck Schumer's comment about the bipartisan. This is what the people in the bipartisan group have said about the voting. They had set their own self-imposed deadline to get the provisions of what's in the bipartisan agreed to by yesterday. But even if they didn't get it done by yesterday, they said they're going to get it done. Mitt Romney, who is really one of the fastest workers in the Senate, and who really got that third recon done very quickly. He says we hope to get most of the issues resolved by Thursday, yesterday, but we'll surely have a few after that. Lisa Murkowski says it's going great. Siska Sinema says it's going great. Everyone says that the bipartisan is going great. So the great news is that they said in the articles that they hope to have the deal provisions done by the end of this week, and then have the bill written by the start of next week. That's their representations. And then the vote potentially by the start of next week. I don't think the vote will be ready by the next week. I think the vote by the bipartisan will be the week after. But remember, the recon has to go before the bipartisan. So that could potentially see a vote on the recon early next week, which could ultimately mean we could ultimately see the bill next week. Ultimately, this is all dependent upon their timeline, not mine. I'm not there. So here is what you need to know. First, you have to push. In fall of 2020, we had a continuing budget resolution. It doesn't have stimulus in it. It's a resolution about how to run the federal government. But no one was giving us stimulus. And I solely came up with the idea of putting stimulus into the continuing resolution in 2020. It was my own idea. And I said, Purple Power, I want you to try to push it out and get that, and have congressional leaders do it. And you push, and we got it initially. And then they came back and said, no, we're just going to give you unemployment stimulus. We said, hold up. You give us CR for stimulus. You put stimulus checks in there, or we're going to kick you out of office. Seats or stimulus. And we got the stimulus check in there. The time frame was very close, if you remember. We did this in all of less than about 10 days. One of the people that really pushed it fast was Mitt Romney. So it's important to understand, as we go into these potentially final 2 weeks, you got to push hard. Now that we have a price tag of $3.5 trillion for the recon, which is your money, legislators, Democrats, are going to try to take as much of a bite of that $3.5 trillion for their own particular projects, whether they're for the farmers or whether they're for the medical expansion of medical aid, like a hearing and Medicare. Each legislator has their own project they like. Our project is us. So you need to push. Hashtag MSC, hashtag Purple Power. Call up your Democratic senators. Call up the caucus leaders and tell them why you need it. Not when am I getting it? How am I getting it? What day is it laying in my bank account? No, that's donut chatter. Remember that these Democrats can take something out at any time. They can put it back in at any time. They have not finished the final language. Until it's bill, anything can get changed like that. In fall of 2020, we saw stimulus check amounts change every hour. They can change by the hour. They can go up, they can go down, they can go for multiple, they can go for single. You need to push by the minute, because until we're over the finish line, we're not over the finish line. And everything can change down to the last wire. Finally, I really appreciate all your wonderful comments. It's in days like this where we had so much confusion about the votes, about the bills, about what Chuck Schumer said and what Chuck Schumer didn't say, that I understand that some people may inherently get confused. It's easy to get confused. But on the other hand, I don't want people to come in and say they are the bearer of the news. They're not, because often it's wrong. And with that, I'll be back in Evenings LA if you need to hear it again. I'll have more breaking news on Evenings LA coming back in 90 minutes from now. So I hope to see you then. A lot more breaking news. And with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. Next stop, 1 million. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like this video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member so you get delivered to you all the big money under 3rd, 4th, and 5th stimulus. Stay informed, stay focused. I'll see you next on Evenings LALATE.